Hey, welcome back to Unity TV. Today, we begin our off-season series with our very first interview. If you missed the intro for this video series, click on the icon in the top corner to watch what this series is about. And if you're not already a Unity FC subscriber, then what are you doing?
Push the button!
Alright. Enough chit-chat, let's introduce you to today's guest. She is a midfielder from Abbotsford, BC, has been playing the game in BC for many clubs over the years, and was your number 7 this year for Unity FC. Let's jump right into our sit-down with Megan Avery. And joining me now is Megan Avery, who has been part of Unity FC for 2023 and also part of 2022. So Megan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I want to first start off by asking the question of you growing up in the Lower Mainland. What was the biggest memory you had when it came to football that made you want to play for when you became older?
Yeah, growing up, I've been playing soccer for almost 30 years, so don't do the math on that, but it's been a very long time. And, I grew up watching my brother as well, so watching his team train was probably one of the biggest draws for me. He's 10 months older than me, so he started a little bit earlier, but I wanted to be on the pitch as soon as he was. So I think that he was a very big influence on me joining soccer. And I would just go and watch him play, and I think some of the coaches noticed that I was very eager to learn all of the moves because I was mimicking everything on the sidelines that they were being taught. So, one of the coaches, who was the director's son, he came over and just started training me individually, and that was kind of it. I fell in love, and they always included me. I would get to play when they were short players, and eventually all of the boys started including me as well. So it was fun just to be able to participate, and I think it just goes to show that soccer is a universal language and it doesn't really have any biases. It's just a group of people coming together for the love of the game. So it was a great experience.
Moving on to when you became probably in your teenage years and then more adult years, can you talk about your journey for playing for a variety of clubs and maybe even how that all brought you to becoming part of Unity?
Yeah, so I've played in Abbotsford my entire life. So I started just playing youth soccer out here, and then I moved into Metro, and I was playing with girls that were a year older than me for the majority of the time that I was playing in Abbotsford. I joined a club called the School of Excellence, so Colin Miller ran that, and it was just for players that he had chosen who stood out a little bit and he wanted to give extra training to. So that was a really good experience. And then from there I moved into UFE for university. So I was the captain there for 3 or 4 years. And then from there I went and played in the W League for the Victoria Highlanders when that was still a league out here, and we were one of the only Canadian teams. And then right now I'm currently playing with Coquitlam Metro Ford women's soccer team, and then of course I was playing with Unity this summer, which was great.
We always hear different stories of how different players get involved with Unity. Did you have a conversation with one of the coaches and then wanted to reach out, or how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, so Rob Giesbrecht, who is one of the coaches of Unity, was actually one of my coaches at UFE for about 3 years. So I had that connection from just having him as a coach, and I reached out to him and just said that I was interested. So he allowed me to come train in 2022, and then I had the injury, but I came back in 2023, and that was the connection there. And then of course Graham was the coach of Trinity, and so I had many, many years of playing against him, and they were probably our biggest rivals. So it was great to get to play for him again.
Going through 2022, you mentioned you had an injury, so unfortunately that got a little cut short. You also played for this year, for 2023. What was the biggest memories that you took away that you really enjoyed playing for Unity?
Obviously it was a really good group of girls. It was a great environment, very, very competitive. I think my favorite moment probably was the first game that I actually played when Graham had asked me to take the PK that had occurred in the game. And after the game, he asked me why that I thought he chose me to take the PK, and I told him it was because I always used to score so many PKs against him in university. So that was just my favorite moment.
There are a lot of different players who talk about different life lessons they take away from being at Unity, whether it's like what you learn off the pitch, what you learn on the pitch. What is the biggest lesson that you have learned from being part of Unity this last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a life lesson that I've learned time and time again, but it just really comes out in sport, and that's just that work ethic and consistency are very, very important qualities, both in life and in football. And I think one of my favorite sayings of all time is just hustle and heart, and that's something that I try to bring to my everyday work life, but also when I'm playing football or any other sport for that matter.
You talk about like your work life currently. Like, where are you now? Like you mentioned, you have played it for a couple of years now. You mentioned that you're at Algonquin Metro Ford. What does your life look like currently with outside of football?
Yeah, so I have a 5-year-old daughter who is just in kindergarten, so I spend a lot of time with her. I currently work at Coca-Cola, so I'm a sales manager for Coca-Cola, and I also manage a portion of our operations, so our merch department. So my goal at the end of this is to become a GM, so that's sort of what I'm swinging for. And in soccer, I mean, I've probably passed my prime when it comes to playing professional in Europe, but obviously that's always a goal for any soccer player. But for me, I just want to continue playing at this level for as long as I can.
Well, it's very interesting you mentioned about GM, because like there's a lot of players who either go to coaching or go to other places, and there are some that go to GM. And that's fascinating that you mentioned about that. Why specifically being a GM is drawing you to want to do that long term?
I think just from even being a sales manager, I managed our operations team a few years ago before having my child. And I just think the coaching aspect of it is something that I'm really drawn to. I like helping develop people, and I like, creating a better life for them. So I think just like the whole coaching thing and inspiring people and working with them, and I want to help people.
Well, it's really inspiring that you say that. It's actually really great. Speaking of like helping people develop, there are future stars coming from UFC. We definitely believe that at Unity, that future players will be coming through, and we are committed to help develop them. If there is advice you can give to either current players or future players that would play for Unity, what would you say would be the biggest thing advice you would like to give them?
Yeah, I mean, I think consistency is probably one of the most important things. And obviously, like how you're practicing and training and how you're fueling your body, that's going to be very impactful, not only day to day, but in football. So I think, kind of practice how you want to play is the best advice, because if you're not going to put in the work off the pitch, then you're probably not going to get the results you want on the pitch.
There are some players who also mentioned about like experiences with fans, be able to talk to the community and be able to use football as an outreach. Do you find that there's a specific moment that you realize that it's so important to have Unity part of the township of Langley?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it just creates a sense of community. I know sports in general have that impact on communities, and it's just great to see all the youth coming out. I mean, women's football has come a long way even since I first started, and I think just seeing, the girls being ball girls and playing at halftime and bringing their parents out and their friends, it just creates that sense of community, and I think that in itself is very inspiring.
We also know that there is professional football currently in the Lower Mainland. We talked about the Whitecaps, Vancouver FC. Project A is coming down the pipeline. We know this. How important is it to have local football in like these small townships of Abbotsford and Langley to have this local football?
Yeah, I mean, I think just for me, even growing up, seeing people like Mia Hamm on TV and, females just being shown in sport on TV was an amazing accomplishment in itself. And so I think for the younger communities to be able to, witness strong females getting to play sports at a very high level, I think that, it brings them out. It makes them want to do that too, and it makes this program bigger and a greater thing. So I think that, just having that community involvement is amazing.
Is there a specific kind of football that really inspired you, either as a youth or as currently today, that you look up to, like either a club or a player that you are like, wow, this is really inspiring, that you look up to yourself?
Yeah, I mean, Mia Hamm was someone who I definitely looked up to, but I watched a lot of soccer growing up. There wasn't anything in particular, it was just the game in itself. I just really loved playing. I loved the fitness aspect of it. I loved running, and I was inspired by everything about it.
Well, we definitely appreciate your time on this call, and thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you hopefully next year on the pitch.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what you saw, give it a big old thumbs up for us. And make sure to follow us on our other socials right here. See you next time.